Hey guys, we made it to a beautiful beach, Vancouver, Canada. We're looking at my favorite bike for 2020, almost. This is the Specialized Vado SL Superlight. Looked at the Creo SL and the Levo SL. That's their road bike, their all-mountain mountain bike. And this is really the bike that, it's perfect for like a commuter, kind of the everyday around town rides. It's relatively comfortable, which is surprising because this is an all aluminum frame. This is the 4.0 EQ, which stands for equipped, and that means it comes with these awesome fenders and a rear rack. If you don't get the EQ version, you still get lights, which kudos to Specialized. I mean, that's awesome. Safety is a big deal, especially if you're on a speed pedelec like this. So this goes up to 45 kilometers per hour, 28 miles per hour. You can see the reflective stripes on the tires and the graphics on the frame. I love this. It does come in 2 frame colors and 4 frame sizes. So fit, that's another thing that's really important to me. I mean, Specialized has put a ton of money into this SL motor. It's really lightweight, about 4 pounds. It produces 35 Newton meters of torque, and it provides up to 120 RPM pedal cadence, which is fantastic. It means that you can spin if you're like a road cyclist type of person, or you just want that cardio feel, and it will be able to keep up with you. It's only rated at 240 watts, which, it kind of sounds low. In my experience, it's actually very satisfying, especially because it has that speed pedelec performance. So I was asking the team, all about it, just trying to get all the specs and understand, like, okay, there's a plastic casing, who makes this thing, how's it set up, and it actually has a slightly wider 181 millimeter Q factor. So it's a little bit wider than a standard 175 millimeter Q factor on a non-electric bike. And they said, well, we went a little bit wider so we could put these really heavy duty, reliable seals on this thing to make it highly water resistant. At Electric Bike Review, we've got these forums and people can leave comments. We try to be as independent as possible. And I have seen in the past with some of the Vado and Como models where people had some issues with wiring or the blocks display. It was like a kind of a display unit that was up here, very similar to this LCD, which does not come with the bike, by the way. Just has this rubberized, really simple display panel we'll get into a little later. So on their older bikes, they had that display, and there were just some issues, and Specialized really came through for people that had the problems. They replaced the bikes or replaced the cables and got people set up. And to me, that's really important because these are expensive, right? This is kind of like the second level up in terms of what you can get for the Vado SL. The very lowest one doesn't have the fenders, doesn't have the rack, and it's $3,350, which is not too bad. This one's $3,500, which is totally worth it. I think these fenders are fantastic. They've got this like rubberized end if you run into something or the bike tips over or whatever, but the rest of it's aluminum alloy and it's tubular, so it's really stiff. Look at how low that front fender goes. Really, really low, because so many times your foot is down, like you're pedaling like this, except in the other direction, and the splash comes up and it gets your calves and your shoes wet, and that's such a bummer. So the fact that they've extended this so low and that it's that same rubberized design, but that the rest of it is sturdy and quiet, really well supported. Look at how the rack, it interfaces right there. And then there's actually a channel in that front fender. You can kind of see it from here. It actually it diverts water that's being kicked up, because when you're going fast, that's what happens. It's actually kind of sticking to the roof of that fender and being pushed forward and out. And if you didn't have these channels that sent it outwards, it would come up and kind of splash you in the face. That's one of the issues. So, Specialized is one of the big 3. They've got like a wind tunnel. They've been around forever. They're more known for like road bikes and mountain bikes, but their e-bike game is really coming along, and this thing is just fantastic. So, $3,500, or for $4,350, you can get the carbon fiber fork version, which is a little bit nicer. It also has the Future Shock versus this rigid aluminum alloy stem, and that thing works great. I've seen some other products, like Redshift Sports has this like shock stop stem, but it's kind of a rainbow movement. It goes like this, it pivots, versus the Future Shock that goes like this, and it really makes a big difference. I actually covered it on some of the Creo models earlier in the year at a Specialized event. Very cool product that Specialized made. They custom made this thing, and it's going to give your wrists some comfort and just reduce that shock that you do feel, especially at higher speeds, especially with these kind of efficient tires and stuff. yeah, they've got locking ergonomic grips. That's nice. They've got this surprisingly comfortable saddle, kind of squishes in the middle. Before I was even covering electric bikes, I sought out a Specialized saddle because I like them. They have this whole like body geometry concept. I have lowered the tire pressure for this bike before taking it out because I'm a relatively lightweight rider, and you can see it's 50 to 80 psi on this 700 by 38C, so it's a little bit wider. It's kind of a city tire. It's not as narrow as a road bike. So when you combine all of those factors, you could even do a suspension seat post versus this rigid post here. For me, it's worth spending a little bit more for the 5.0. That's what I'm getting at. But to be able to get like this motor with such a beautifully integrated battery and at such light weight, it's like 36.9 pounds as you see it here. That is fantastic. It's definitely lightweight. So coming back to where the weight is, it's right there in the center of the bike, which keeps you kind of balanced. It's going to handle a little bit better at higher speeds. They've used boost hub spacing here, which means 110 millimeters up front, 148 in the rear versus 100 by 142. And they've got two 12 millimeter through axles. So these are not the 9 millimeter like quick release skewers. It's a lot sturdier. You've got that wider spoke bracing angle. This thing is really solid to help you with those higher top speeds. Now I do wish the bike could come with some sort of portable tool because both of the axles use a 6 millimeter hex bolt. It's not quick release. And same thing with the seat clamp. I think it's like a 4 millimeter hex. Some of the other SL models I've looked at, the Creo and the Levo, they did have tools like under the top cap or below the bottle cage, and this is something you could easily purchase for yourself, especially if you get a left entry Z cage to use with the range extender battery. You can just bolt that right underneath. It's a nice thing to have with you. And technically you can remove the battery from this e-bike, but it requires the help of a shop. It's really designed to be left in the frame, which means you need to park the bike close to a charging outlet somewhere in your house or your garage, and think about how hot or how cold it might get in that location, because extreme heat is going to reduce the number of full charge cycles you can get. Extreme cold is going to limit your temporary range. It might cut it in half, and the battery capacity on this is already kind of low for this generation of bikes. It is a 48 volt, 6.9 amp hour. The interesting thing is Specialized does have a secondary pack, and that one, it's called the range extender. It's 160 watt hours, so it's about half the size, 2.3 pounds on that, and you could get multiples of those. And technically you can actually operate the bike just using a range extender, and I've been told that you could like remove the main battery pack from the bike, ship the bike, maybe fly it somewhere, because you're not allowed to have the lithium-ion batteries in the bike, but you can bring a range extender kind of carry-on technically, because it's 160 watt hours. So you could get somewhere, you could use that range extender. It's $450, but you need a $45 charging dongle in order to get it working properly. So it's about $500, all things considered. And since it's a mid-drive, it leverages this cassette in the rear, 10 speeds, 11 to 42. It's got the Shimano Dior with the Shadow Plus one-way clutch. So in the down position, it's going to be easier to do maintenance. This isn't quite so tight, right? So it's just easier to do service and stuff. But then when you lock it in the up position, it's tighter. You're not going to get the chain bouncing around quite so much. You can see a nice little slap guard right here. Plastic chain guard. It's actually going to protect your pants a little bit and then reduce the potential for the chain hopping off. So it's a really tight integration, just really beautiful. And you can see the charging port on the other side. They actually size the crank arms and the handlebar slightly differently, and the stem depending on what frame size you get. So this one has 172.5. I've never seen that. I think their range goes like 165 to 175. So to have that type of an increment, that sort of precision, just to match the size of the frame. This is the large, by the way. Fantastic. Having two bottle cage bosses and plenty of room here if you wanted to have like a frame bag right here. Of course, you do have the rear rack, and it's kind of a minimalist setup. You could put maybe like a really slim trunk bag, some panniers hanging off the side would work pretty well. We'd have a bungee loop at the bottom, and you could kind of secure a pannier so it wouldn't be flapping around, it wouldn't be touching the fenders or just sloshing around as you turn. This thing is only rated at 15 kilograms. It's roughly 33 pounds. That's kind of a letdown for me, to be honest with you. It's like, well, that's probably enough to take gear and stuff, but maybe not enough to have like a child seat to really load this thing up. So I was speaking with the folks at Specialized, and I was like, you've got rack bosses up front on the fork. Again, this is an aluminum alloy fork, so you could add kind of front panniers and maybe use this for something like a touring application. So I do want to point out that when you cycle this backwards, the chain does not cycle through the drivetrain, which means you might need a bike stand if you're gonna lube this up. I did carry this across the sand so that we wouldn't get a whole bunch of sand sticking to that chain. And it's just amazing that it is light enough to do that. Also, you can ride this thing like a traditional, like analog bicycle without any assist, and it feels comfortable. It feels natural. Maybe you use assist just when the wind's blowing, and sorry, there is a little bit of wind out here this afternoon. Maybe you're just climbing up a hill, and then on the way down or on the flats, you want to get a little bit more exercise. You can turn assist off. So this is much more of a bicycle than I've ever seen from really any other company. There is the Foswa motor. It's kind of a mid-drive system like this, not as satisfying as this. Even some of the Bosch like active line motors and stuff that are heavier and bigger, not as satisfying as this. So Specialized killed it. They custom designed this with a German company that has a great reputation. They really, you know, from what I've been told, some of it's, you know, marketing. We're so excited about our new bike, but they've invested a ton in this platform, and it really shows. But some of the complaints I have, you can see the interface here, the buttons. We've got like walk mode right here and plus and minus, so that's going to let you cycle through the different levels of assist. And then on the front we have this S, and the S jumps you all the way up to the highest level of assist. I found that when I'm riding, my thumb is like natural here. It's not natural like way up like this, and I don't want to take my fingers off the brake levers, so I kind of wish they would have swapped those two. Like walk mode could be here because I use it less, and then the S could be there. But then again, if you're using walk mode, maybe you need to handle the bike more securely. I don't know, it's a minor thing. Before we jump back, the other complaint I have is they don't have a step-thru on this bike. You know, they have 4 different trim levels, 4 frame sizes for each, a bunch of different colors. This is the super light model. So if you're a petite person, maybe you want that lower standover height, especially if you load up that rear rack with like a trunk bag and panniers. Maybe you're someone who wants to wear a skirt, or someone with knee sensitivity, hip sensitivity. So I feel like that's definitely an area, hopefully they address that in the future. So that headlight is rated at 210 luminance. It is ultra bright and aimable and positioned high, exactly where you want it. It points where you steer. It's great. And then the rear, this is one of the few rear lights that is actually rated. It's like 30 lumens, 11 lux, super bright, 2 LEDs, plenty of space, so if you do have a trunk bag or panniers, it's not going to get blocked. And the rack itself is positioned a little bit further back, so you can drop that seat post, bring that saddle down all the way. I still think it's like 33.25 inches for the minimum saddle height I was measuring before. 27.2 millimeters on the seat post, and this one's aluminum alloy, but they do have this interesting tightener piece right here that's different from a lot of other bikes. They sort of have this like big quick release lever, and it's less aerodynamic, and for a carbon fiber seat post, you can crack it a little bit more because it's this narrower band of pressure versus this one that sort of shims out and applies pressure for a taller space. It's just a nice upgrade, whether you use a rigid post like this, or maybe you get yourself something like a Connect body float suspension seat post that's carbon fiber. That could be a nice setup, especially because this doesn't have a suspension fork. And then I wanted to point out these nice reflective graphics on the side. See how those just pop? Same thing with the tires. Really like that. They've got another one right there, as well as that rear light. And then I've got the app here. Just launched it. I'm all set up. You can do tuning, which is kind of cool, and adjust the settings for each level of assist. Eco, Sport, head back here and diagnose if there are any issues. And something we were talking about, they've got a speed sensor on that rear disc brake mount. Let's show you this here. It's a pretty nice position right there. So instead of having a spoke mounted rear wheel speed sensor like this that can kind of get bumped out of position over time, theirs is tucked in. It's really nice and tight. However, it's right there by the disc brake rotor, so over time the iron filings and just any little metal that scrapes off could sort of build up on that and make it a little fuzzy, or just debris if the bike tips. So keep that in mind. And I'm just coming back to that diagnostics setting here. If there's any issue with the rear wheel speed sensor, that's something that comes to mind. Kind of check the motor, get the hardware information, display, and this one doesn't really have a display. Got that optional TCD, this little grayscale thing that gives you lots of information. Could be synced with a heart rate monitor and give you your average speed, your odometer, that kind of thing. Really nice, actually swivels a little bit. And then the Turbo Connect unit right here, this is your main point of information, unless of course maybe you mounted your phone. So back to the app here, my rides, settings. I think the biggest thing is you're able to set this up to get you to a destination and help you maintain a certain level of charge even once you've gotten there. So you can say, here's how long I want to ride, here's how far I want to ride, or here's the heart rate I want to maintain without running the battery completely out of juice. So it says current smart control support level 20%, and then that's going to adjust based on the settings you use. It's a really cool app. Here is the battery charger. This thing is about 1.9 pounds. I love that it is a 3 amp charger instead of just 2 amp like a lot of others. It just feels really solid, like high quality. And then you can buy these different adapters, kind of split it so you could be charging the bike itself as well as one of those range extender bottle batteries that Specialized sells. And while we're at it, check this out. They've got this nice sticker that protects that frame and the beautiful colors from the cables and stuff so they won't kind of rub over time. And they do have that same clear plastic sticker on the chainstay, not underneath the down tube, but with these extra long fenders and that flex tender, that kind of rubberized piece there. Probably not a big issue on this bike. I like how well it's protected. I like this setup a lot. So we're inside City Cycles, and you can see this is the older Vado that has the Broza drive system, more powerful, higher capacity battery, and then we've got the Levo over here, same setup. Like really nice bikes. So I just wanted to show you these kind of back to back, and I've got the weights and stuff back at the website so you can, kind of determine what you want. You get the suspension fork. I noticed that the light here is mounted down on the arch so it could kind of bounce around versus being up high and keeping you more visible. I'm wearing an Abus helmet that actually has like a light built in, which is really nice. I like to be visible. I just don't want to get hit by a car, especially if I'm commuting. They gave me this helmet and it's really comfortable. I like it and everything, but I wear this really for safety because you can see how the light is, the rear light especially, it's a little bit lower. As some of the older Specialized bikes, they put it at the rear of the saddle, which was cool, but then your coat might hang down and block it in some situations, or if you had a trunk bag and you lowered the saddle. So I think that's the best they could do. It's brighter than most of the other bikes that I've looked at. So kudos to them for doing that, but the reflectors and everything else, those are just some of the little kind of extra thoughts that I had really scrutinizing this bike because I think it's one of the best and I think it's going to be pretty popular. And welcome back. Just kind of finishing up the walkthrough. I love how all the cables are internally routed on this thing, the fact that it comes in a couple colors and that they're really beautiful. The darker color especially, I mean, it's not as visible as the light color, but with those really reflective graphics and on the fenders and the tires, I feel like you're going to stand out pretty well. Pedals, it actually comes with some decent pedals. These are just plastic platform. They get you riding right away. You don't have to swap them out, and they aren't like these kind of open cage ones that can get bent and sharpened. So I definitely appreciate that. The kickstand, it's not adjustable length, but it's dialed in. It works pretty well unless you're on sand, in which case you're going to need like a little piece of wood or something like I've got there, because otherwise it pokes in and the bike could kind of tip over. 160 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes. Tektro, we've got 3-finger Tektro levers. Adjustable reach, pretty easy to deal with. Nice little flick bell with the turbo moniker on it. That's kind of neat. So coming back to the rear rack, what was kind of frustrating to me was that, like, yeah, you can put a rack up there, but if you wanted a heavier duty rack, you can't really even replace this one very easily because it is connected to and supported by that aluminum alloy fender. They don't have rack bosses right here, and a lot of times you can get a rack that'll connect right here to your seat post clamp. But this doesn't use a traditional seat post clamp, right? It uses that wedge. So you'd have to find some other way to kind of fasten something on this and then, connect your rack down here. And it just felt like, it would have been nice to have those bosses, or just get a heavier duty rack. I mean, people are paying a lot of money for this. You tend to go further and ride more frequently when you're on an electric bike. So why is the rack downgraded? Like, most aftermarket racks are rated to 25 kilograms. Most other electric bikes have a 25 kilogram rack because it's just more capable. Maybe they wanted something that was just narrow and sporty and streamlined. It looks sexy, but I feel like they've got to have a version of this rack that looks nice and is still rated for more weight. So enough ranting on that. I gotta find something to complain about, because otherwise I feel like this bike is just fantastic. I mean, it checks all the boxes for me. The motor, there's a little bit of a I mean, you can kind of hear it for sure, but it's very effective. I'd rather have something that's performant that you notice audibly, and something that's reliable and backed by a big company that has tons of shops and dealers, so you can go in, you can test ride this thing, you can get support after the fact and know that you'll be supported for a while. I feel like they've clearly invested in this drive system, because they're using it on so many of their bikes now. And I feel like this is the type of bike that if you spent the money on, especially with the carbon fiber and the suspension stem, it would just be fantastic. And maybe commuting to work in the future, if you got to downsize and get rid of one of your cars or something to save some money, an electric bike is going to save you on licensing, insurance. Charging this thing is only going to be like 10 cents, and they say it's rated from like 25 to 30 to 80 miles or something like that, and I believe it. You know, this is the kind of bike that, again, is satisfying even if you don't have the pedal assist turned on. So with that said, let's go ahead and just activate the bike. There's this power button right here, and then this nice little blue chart. It sort of goes up and down, and there's 10 ticks, so each one represents a 10%. It starts off in assist level 2. If you press the S or the plus, you go all the way up to 3. And again, you can push that S, kind of like a turbo mode button up here, to jump all the way up to the top. Otherwise, this just cycles down. It goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can get to 0 assist by holding it, which is kind of a cool little workaround. And then from up here, this one actually gives you all the different modes by pressing just the plus and minus, but it doesn't go around. You have to go all the way back down, minus, minus, minus. There we go. So well done. Has the walk mode, so if you were like me and you were in sand or grass and you were loaded up and didn't want to lift this thing, you just press and hold the walk button, and it actually takes off. Oh, there's that kickstand sinking in like we were talking about. I can't even, let's try to use the boot. There we go. Are we doing it? Looks like walk mode doesn't work unless you're in one of the 3 assist levels. Let's try it one more time. There it is. Look how quickly that picked up. Let's try it one more time. Press. Yeah, almost instantaneous. That's nice. It actually makes walk mode a lot more usable. Some of the other systems out there, you press walk mode and it's usually up here, like on the Bosch system. Then you have to hold plus right there. And so it's a 2-step thing. You know, it's kind of neat the way they set this thing up. That's kind of it. Otherwise, you know, they have their mission control app, and their app also integrates with Strava and Commutes. So Commute is a really neat app. It shows you like points of interest. Like I was looking at it earlier today, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to go check out the view on the other side, like go across the Lionsgate Bridge or around downtown. You can totally do that and kind of record those to your Specialized app. So it's all in one place. I think it's really neat that they integrate and they play nice with some of the other apps in the space. As a final note, I love where the kickstand's positioned. It's not going to collide with that crank arm if you're backing the bike up. 40 millimeter mounting provision there as well if you wanted to replace that kickstand for any reason. And I think that's it. I think I'm going to just carry this thing and do a little ride test with you guys. Okay, so we're leaving the beach area. We're on the grass. I'm a relatively lightweight rider at about 135 pounds. I consider myself kind of sporty. You know, I'm fairly fit. I loaned this bike to Doug at City Cycles. They're the guys that set this up for me. And he's a little bit heavier guy. I think he's like a couple 100 pounds. And he said, wow, this is a blast. I really liked how it just faded out. It didn't feel like an abrupt stop. It was really smooth and responsive. So I wanted to start off in the grass and just try to demonstrate that. And then also show you that's what the display looks like, you know, with direct sunlight. As soon as you go into the shade, it becomes a lot more visible. Having to look like way down to that is not ideal. I like that it's 10 increments and not just 5 like a lot of other e-bikes. I think I'd rely on the cycle computer, and maybe I'd figure out a way to mount my phone or something up here as well. But you know, getting like battery percentage or range estimate or something, that is a little bit lacking compared to like the Bosch system, where it has dynamic range readouts. And the grayscale, they're kind of growing on me. This is a backlit one, right? And again, $90 to get that, but just a little bit of a trade-off. A little bit of a trade-off with that. It's very reliable though, very durable. That's the whole goal. So I'm gonna hop on this thing, hit the S button, take it all the way up, just pedal along. very stable, even in off-road conditions. You can hear it like pretty quiet, maybe a little bit of rattling going on. I'm kind of maxing out the RPM right now. I need to shift, so I'm going to try to do that. No shift detection. So I think you'd be well served to sort of ease off as you pedal. Again, since it's measuring pedal torque, it'll back off as well, and that way you won't mash the chain with those sprockets quite so much. Okay guys, from here you can see an aluminum alloy 44 tooth chainring with that nice plastic guard. It's thick plastic, so it's not super cheap. It's not rattling around a whole lot. And then we've got that 11 to 42 tooth cassette in the rear. Really nice setup on that. It's nice to have such a wide range, especially for speed-pedelec, and then being able to get support. 180% of your pedal input, 35 newton meters of torque, 240 watts. That's how this is rated. It's very capable. It's measuring the pedal cadence, pedal torque, and rear wheel speed. All three signals. And this is the 4.0 model. The 5.0 has an even nicer drivetrain. So let's just do it. I'm going to hop on this thing, but I'm going to start off with no assist, and that way you can just get a sense for how quiet this is and how easy it is to pedal up to speed. I'm not even in the lowest gear. Nice. On about 13 kilometers per hour there. Now this is the lowest level of assist. Very nice. So actually pretty quiet in that lower level of assist. And the brakes are working great. Of course, hydraulic. Both levers are very easy to actuate. It's not like some of the mechanical brakes where the rear right brake, the cable has to go further and there's just more resistance. Hydraulic is totally the way to go. I'm actually hoping to convince some of my family members, like my mom, maybe to get one of these bikes, because it's perfect. It's like lightweight. She doesn't like heavy stuff. You know, her hands are kind of smaller, a little bit weaker. She wants hydraulic disc brakes, and I just think she'll have a lot of fun with this thing. She wants to be sporty and active, but at the same time, you know, maybe needs a little bit of help up the hills or to go further and keep up with some of her friends as she gets a little older. So this time I'm going to take it to the second and third levels of assist. Nice, very satisfying. Now I'm going to shift some gears and stuff. Got a little wet, but probably less than we would on some of the shorter fenders. I also liked how it performed when I went over that curb and just kind of, you know, got bumped out of the way. And I want to point out that at least on this frame, the large frame, there's a good amount of space between where my foot is and that fender, so I'm not going to be like kind of bumping into it, kicking it when I turn sharp. Some additional thoughts on comfort. I frequently wear cycling gloves because they have this like gel padding, and that's going to add a layer of like vibration dampening right here, especially if you get the aluminum alloy 4.0 edition of this bike. I mentioned earlier that I lowered the tire pressure here. I made sure I didn't go too low, but I took my lighter body weight into account when I did that, and they're feeling really good. But I left the rear tire a little bit more full because I find that like if I jump up a curb, you know, the back tire kind of runs into the angle, like right, just like that. And this has a relatively low attack angle because of the 700C, like 28-inch diameter, but when it comes into contact with a hard edge like that, it can push the tire into the edge of the rim and then create what they call snake bite, which is like two little holes, like pinch marks on the inner tube, and then you can get a flat tire. Even though these do have puncture protection built in, it's a black belt. Puncture protection is slightly different than, you know, the snake bite situation. You might have a wall of resistance, but nothing on the inside that's stopping the tube from getting pinched. So keep that in mind. I've been riding around for several miles, and amazingly, I'm still like full according to the sort of the basic readout. So I haven't used 10% of the battery, which is kind of cool. I could actually pull up the app and see exactly how much I've used. But I haven't been using the app. I just tossed it in my backpack and kind of turned it off. Oops. I did find a nice little hill here that I thought would be fun to climb with you guys. This is it's nothing terrible. I mean, you know, you'd notice it if you didn't have assist, but it's a perfect application for an e-bike because you just fly up these things. It's like no problem. Makes it a lot more fun. Not gonna get sweaty, not gonna get worn out. I used to ride my e-bike to work in Austin where it gets pretty hot, and that was one of the primary applications. Also stop signs, right? Like I notice a lot of people on bikes maybe don't want to stop because getting started again is such a drag. It's like, oh, you know, you really got to work. With an e-bike, no problem. Like you just start pedaling and the bike helps you out so much, especially if it's set up right. Get to experience the beauty, the community, a whole bunch of friendly people out today saying hey, asking about the bike, sharing their stories. Nice spring colors. Love that they got some protected bike roads here. Very cool. Oh wow, look at this. Let's go on an adventure down here. Wow. And before I close out, I want to compliment that they use like the two-way trigger shifter for their Shimano setup. It's nice to be able to do that because I prefer to use my thumb for both, and then I use my index finger for braking. And some of the other cheaper shifters, they make you use your index finger. It's only a one-way directional shifter. So like everything on this bike has been done really, really well. Kudos, Specialized. You guys did a great job. And I think that's it. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.